would have seen a video played in the Oval Office in a meeting between President Cyril Ramaphosa and his delegation from South Africa, who met with our US counterpart, President Donald Trump. The video shown by the White House emphasized a lot of things, including statements made by EFF leader or Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema, as well as former President Jacob Zuma. But the one thing that President Trump touched on was a video that was taken from the sky in a helicopter, and it showed a road and crosses on either side of this road as hundreds, if not thousands, of vehicles lined this road.
Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is.
Now, that video was taken in September 2020. It was taken on a rural road in the Normandin area, which is in northern KwaZulu-Natal, in an area known as Newcastle. And that video was taken in response to a murder that was committed earlier that week. On August 30th, 2020, Glenn and Vida Rafferty, a progressive couple in the Normandin area, were murdered at their farm. They were killed along with their dog as intruders entered their home and ransacked their place and stole a number of items and goods before fleeing in Glenn's vehicle. The vehicle was found later abandoned, and 2 years later, subsequently, 3 people were arrested and charged with the murder as well as robbery with aggravating circumstances and sentenced respectively. But that specific protest you saw in the video, right, was a multiracial protest. According to the Institute for Race Relations, who were there on the day of the protest took place the following weekend on September the 5th, the Saturday. And this was in response to people trying to make government aware of the plight of farmers in the country and trying to raise awareness around farm murders. Now, Glenn and Vida were murdered on August 30th on the Sunday. On Wednesday, September 2nd, the former Minister for Police, Becky Cele, together with Fani Masimola, met with the Rafferty family in Normandin. I was there. I was a reporter in KwaZulu-Natal at the time. I attended that meeting that Cele had with the family, as well as an open engagement and dialogue that he had with farmers as well as farm workers in the community. So there was a response from South Africa and the government to that specific incident. Cele saying at the time that there had been about 7 murders within that area in probably a year. And of those 7 murders, they had made basically arrests in every case. So there was attention being given to it.
You only see negative things about farm murders and politicians and everything else on TV. And this is an experience I don't wish on anybody, but our experience has been very positive. The police have been amazing. It's just nice to know that the senseless murder of our friends is being taken seriously.
There's claims that each cross on either side of the road represent people who were murdered in farm attacks. That's not the case. The organizers, who the Institute for Race Relations spoke to at the time, said they were merely just trying to raise awareness. And those crosses were just trying to raise attention as to the plight of farm workers and the dangerous conditions they live in. But our crime stats clearly show that there's no white genocide happening in South Africa, and specifically targeting farmers. Last year, in the third quarter of 2024, 12 farm murders were committed in South Africa, and these were farm workers as well. Of those 12, and bearing in mind that 7,000 people were murdered in the third quarter of 2024, only one was a farm owner. The rest were farm workers, the rest were people who lived on small holdings and rural areas that can be considered as farm holdings. It must also be noted that President Donald Trump held up a number of articles claiming to show white genocide happening in South Africa. Some of these articles weren't even from South African media or reputable media houses in South Africa. One article we looked at was published from the DRC. It didn't have anything to do with South Africa. South Africa's got a crime problem. We don't have a farm murder problem. And that's the truth. For Eyewitness News, I'm Arun Singh.